So yeah? I don't understand. 100 degrees Fahrenheit what? Kilometers away? But we're actually close. We're about to cross the English Canal, so we're actually kind of close. How am I supposed to know how much feet is? I am European. Thing. Check on the VFR map where we are. Oh shit, we're actually close. We're about to cross the English Canal, so we're actually kind of close. How am I supposed to know how much feet is? I am European. I mean, feet is the standard for literally everything. Knots and feet are the standards for aviation. Honestly, the metric system and the imperial system, they practically don't exist because the entirety of the world, aside from the U.S., use the metric system, and the U.S. still uses the imperial system. But it doesn't change anything because in Canada, which is where I live, we use like a mix of both. Like we use kilometers, which is part of the metric system, but then we use feet, which is part of the imperial system. We also use inches, but we use centimeters. So it's always screwed up because we use inches to measure multiple things, but then we also use centimeters and meters for the majority of stuff. But then after more than half the time, we're using feet over meters and centimeters. Inches is less common than centimeters. For pools, we use gallons instead of liters. To measure the height or the depth of a pool, we use feet instead of meters. To measure someone's height, we use feet. And, like, it's so confusing. Because then after there's, like, sometimes the Canadian government just decides to use miles out of nowhere. But everything in Canada on the roads is measured in kilometers. So, like, this is 17 kilometers away. But it's so confusing, and I feel like that happens across the world because I've seen examples of that in Australia too. Like the two systems practically don't exist because they just coincide with each other. Everybody uses a mix of both of them. Like we use Celsius for actual temperature in Canada, but then after to measure the temperature of a pool or to cook something in an oven, that temperature is measured in Fahrenheit. It's just so confusing. No, not Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit. It's just so confusing and it makes no absolute sense. We use so many different systems. Actually, it is only two systems, but still. You should see a doctor. Okay, I don't know. That is why Canada is weird, although I do think Canada is an awesome country. Thank you. Have you ever seen Spider-Man crash with a helicopter? No. Fahrenheit? That is so confusing. Yeah, I know. I hate Fahrenheit. Like, I honestly hate Fahrenheit. No offense to any Americans. But, like, Fahrenheit's just a dumb system. Maybe it's because I grew up with Celsius, but, like, it's just a dumb system. Like, Celsius, water boils at 100 degrees, but Fahrenheit is 202. And there's no, like, solid conversion to get from Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius. And Celsius just makes so much more sense than Fahrenheit. But for cooking, we always say, like, put the oven to 425 degrees. And 425 degrees, we mean in Fahrenheit. A pool, we say, put the pool to 88 degrees or 90 degrees. But then after we say, oh, it's 26, 30 degrees outside. It just doesn't make sense. 100% F or Fahrenheit? What does that mean? 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, I don't understand. 100 degrees Fahrenheit what? I just think the system across the world is dumb. Like people use different systems. I mean there's only 3 countries using the imperial system, which is the U.S., Liberia, and Ethiopia. Those are the only ones using the imperial system. And the rest of the world is using the metric system. But I feel like the metric system and the imperial system are irrelevant because we're using half of both. Across science, too. Do you have a pool? That is awesome. Yeah, I have a pool. I mean, I got it this summer, actually. It just doesn't make sense. Like China? What about China? In science, they use Fahrenheit to measure temperatures of different substances and liquids, but they use Celsius to measure the temperature in space and the water and so on and so forth. As a dual citizen of the UK and USA, I live in the UK and I'm happy I am not in the USA right now because it is hell there and you can offend them. They are really dumb right now. Don't need to say no offense. I don't know if I could comment on that because I'm going to get a lot of backlash if whatever I say. So I live in China, USA, lol. If you live in China, I doubt you would have access to YouTube because China has their own internet. How far are we from Brussels right now? Okay, we just crossed the English channel. USA is just hate? Meh. I feel like a lot of people are in the US are relatively stupid, especially Karens, but there are a lot of smart people in the US, but I feel like the general population has the IQ of a squirrel. No offense to anybody who's American watching, but yeah.